Welcome in. It is day 269, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today, we're going to be going over a game that I just played this past week with my friends. It was a first-time play, and it was a really good one. The concept of the game being something that I had no clue truly what I was getting into. It is a game I heard of for years, but I guess just by box and by name, and never by the inside. The game is called Tapestry. Now, in Tapestry, I was kind of expecting something more along the ways of Teotihuacan. I never can say this name right. Teotihuacan. And I thought it was going to be very much pyramid-y or like building a city, and like the board is going to be a little bit, not a puzzle per se, but a build-up of things, and you collecting pieces to it. That's not what this game is. Instead, what this game is that you each get your starting character, which gives you some kind of an ability. And during the game, the middle of the board is actually where you can have exploration. You all start and you have 4 tiles worth of your little area, and you're on one of them with 2 of your conquered spots. You can explore to the other 3 and conquer them. You can conquer it twice to guarantee it's yours. You can conquer it once. You get to roll. You get some pieces. It's great. But if you have one and somebody else comes in, they can conquer it. They tip your building over. Now there's 2 buildings. Nobody can enter it again. And the person who conquered it second owns the spot, meaning they're getting points for this. Then you can also explore putting additional pieces on the board, which not only gives you the opportunity for moving in and conquering those, but it's getting more resources on the board that if you own them, pays out every time you have a resource phase. So that's going to be paying out 4 times in the game. Now, this is all the inside of the board. But then the real game is the 4 tracks on the outside of the board. These tracks are all designed for different areas, so you might be going in the direction of science, or you could go in the direction of, say, warfare. And you have your 4 different types of resources, and each one's associated to these. So if you decide to start moving up a track, you're going to say, okay, well, for track 1, you have 3 different spots. So when you do your first move, you can pick any one resource, give it up, you move up a spot, you get its abilities. Then you can do it a second time and a third time. On different turns, it's an action to do these. However, if by doing this, you end up seeing below the action a secondary action, it usually means that it's going to give you the option to pay an additional, either a specific resource or a whatever you want to pay for a resource. Move up again, and now you get another piece. Now, once you finish the first 3, you move on to stage 2. Stage 2 is where it gets specific. So, for instance, if you were to be going into, say, the warfare, to be honest, I don't know what the resource was. I called him Baymax. It was this little gray resource that looked like the Baymax from his movie. But the idea would be you'd have to spend 1 of him and a random in order to move up there. So it's like, okay, it's getting a little bit more expensive. And you have 3 of those. Then you go up to your stage 3. In stage 3, it's you're spending 1 of him and 2 randoms. And in stage 4, it's you're spending 2 of him. So that's your 12 spots up a single one of the tracks. And there are 4 of these. There's no way you're going to get up all 4 tracks. That's just not going to happen. So in order for this to work, you have to really focus in. The best idea is to try to choose really 2 tracks that you want to attack and see if that's going to work as a combination for you. Now, some of these allow you to move up other tracks. For instance, if you're going up the science track, a bunch of that is rolling a science die, which will then allow you to advance up other tracks, and possibly the science track as well. The problem is that the early rewards simply move you up a track. You don't get any of its payouts. The later rewards are that when you get to the top, it starts saying, okay, well, now when you roll the die, if you move up another track, you're going to get to have the reward of the spot you go to, which is a big deal as it greatly affects what it is that you're going to get from all these different pieces. Specifically being, all 4 tracks have buildings associated. Now you may be wondering, why does the buildings matter? What are we doing with buildings? There are 2 tracks, or there are 2 boards that belong to each individual player. You're going to have a board that is your scoring board. So basically, when the game starts, you're going to have a bunch of each building. There's going to be a total of 20 buildings. You're going to have 5 covering up spots, and then you're going to have an uncovered spot for each one of these. So when you do your first resources phase, you look at the spots exposed. You're all going to have the same ones, and you're going to get paid it out. So it's going to say, okay, well, you're going to get one of each resource, and if the scoring comes at the end of the phase, you're going to have this score based on whatever it may say the scoring is. Now, as you do certain things, it's going to allow you to move a building off of your player board onto a second board. At the start of the game, you also are going to get dealt 2 cards that are essentially like a forest. Now, the way this works is it's going to be a 9x9 grid, and there's going to be 9 of those. So another 9x9 grid. On that board, when you choose between the two, the difference for the two is that any little red dot on the little squares means that it's already occupied by something, which is good for you. That's going to make it so that it's easier for you to complete what you're looking to do. What you're looking to do is one of 3 things. Either complete a 9x9 grid. Every time you fill in one of those particular 9 grids, you immediately get to take any resource of your choice and add it to your collection. So you're going to, and on your player board, instead of having loads of resources, you actually have one of each, and you move them up a chart and down a chart from 0 to 8. 8's the most you can have of anything. So you can immediately move something up by a resource. However, at the end, when you're scoring, you already have exposed at the start of the game that one of the things you score at the end of each round is how many total lines you have filled on that board. So if you have 9 people from top to bottom in a line, or 9 people from left to right in a line, that's going to score you. It's going to get 1 point for each one. Might have been 2 points. And as you go, when you uncover more of that particular building's row, you'll uncover more of those, allowing you to score more points for each row you have completed. So you're trying to get these buildings basically by going up a track. You say, oh, okay, I've gotten to, say, the 3rd piece on the warfare, and now I can go grab this particular building that represents the warfare buildings, put this onto my map. Now I've uncovered something for, maybe it's going to give you an extra resource on the resource phase, maybe it's going to get you a new scoring type thing. It's going to give you something. Every one of them gives you something more. Some of them are immediate payout, but most of them are going to be when the resources and the points pay out, you have to count all these and multiply them by what you've done. So it's a real back and forth battle here. This goes back to those, I said there were special buildings. Well, the special buildings are at the end of each 3. So you have your 4 phases. So at every 3rd is the end of a phase. And when you start the next phase, you're going to be the first person who gets there gets that particular row's building. It's usually small to start. It's probably just like a 2x2, meaning you can go put it down on your map and it's going to take up 4 spots. Or the later buildings where it starts taking up like 9 or 10 or 11 spots. Now, they're not all just going to be, some of them are very simple. Hey, this is 2x2, this is 3x3. Other ones are, this is a 2x4, or this one's 2x4 here and 2x4 here. It's a big right angle, or this one's, got weird shapes. You have to find a way to maneuver them in because they can't cover your current buildings or any of the dots on there. But what you can do is, if you're having an issue, you can have the building go off of the sheet. So you might have a building that should cover 9 spots, but you go, well, because of the weirdness of how I had everything designed, I only could catch 3 spots on this corner, but I can cover them with this, and the rest of the building goes off the sheet. That's fine. So that's another thing you can do, and that again helps with the completion of these points. And then the final real big piece of this is you have basically your cards. You have 2 different types. You get your green cards. The greens, you start the game with, I want to say 2. And at the start of each phase, you're going, so you have 5 phases. At the start of phases 2, 3, and 4, you're going to play a card onto your player board. And that's going to be activated and now works for you, usually for the round. Not often do you play one of these and do you get it to do more than just a round's worth of stuff. So for instance, one of my cards said, for this round, whenever you invade, nobody can use a trap card to counter you. It would make me impervious to traps. Great. Good to know. So you have your cards, and then you have another set of cards, which are these kind of like goldish cards. These cards are, you get it and you put it to the side of your board, and you have a 1, a 2, and a 3 stage. When you get the card, it goes to your 1 stage. And at the end of the game, you have a row that's going to score these. So for every gold card you have, it doesn't matter where it is, it's going to score. So these are points. But it also has abilities. So at the end of every phase, you're going to have a way to guarantee upgrade a card. The first upgrade, no matter what card you get, is free. So if you upgrade it to the 2nd stage, you're going to get its I believe it's within a circle ability, and it's going to immediately happen. You get it. That's fine. The second upgrade is harder. It still needs an upgrade action. You're going to get 4 of those during the game. So you have 4 upgrades guaranteed, but then there are places on the board that are going to allow upgrades as well. However, in order to do those upgrades, you're going to need to complete the top of the card requirements, which usually says that you are going to require somebody to your left, your right, or you to have reached a certain level. For instance, a card might say, you can't do this until you or one of your 2 neighbors have gotten to the level 2 section of science. And when you have, now you can activate this ability. Really cool, but it makes it tough. Now, when I played this game, we only played 3-player, so basically, as long as anybody was there, you were good. But if you play this in a 4 or I don't know if this goes to 5. Actually, it does. It goes 4 or 5-player game. If you do 4 or 5, now it's specific people. You and 2 specific other people are the ones that can make that activate. So you got to be making sure that when you're picking a card, you're picking one not only that the abilities that pay out are good, but that you feel you can actually do. Because are the people adjacent to you or yourself on track to get that? So that's a big piece. Well, that's really all the pieces I can go over now. The game has a lot more to it, but we're not going to try to give you everything here. I'm going to quickly jump in, try to run you through the 7 categories, and see where this one lands for us. When it comes to the art, front of the box is absolutely amazing. It's a 5 out of 5, and somehow the inside of the box is even better. Thumbs up. Your components. Your cards, top notch. When it comes to your pieces for your different types of resources, they're really good. They're not a wood. They're actually more like one of those thick, strong plastics. It's very good. I love it. Almost more like a stone in a way. When it comes to your other pieces, they're all really good plastic or woods. And all your boards are good cardboard. Thumbs up. Your price. This game's not cheap. This game's minimum $60, probably more like $70 in most places, but you're getting such a good game for your price. This is not a game that you're necessarily going to get to play with everybody, though. So if you're an expert gamer or you're an experienced gamer who has a legit game group you can play with, huge. But if you're a beginner or a kid, this is too much money. This game's not getting to your table. So I think it hits half and half, but that's enough. It's enough for me to say that if you're that if you're that level gamer, go for it. And that, you know, those kids and those beginners are going to become experienced and experts one day. So don't be afraid of this game. Just wait till it's your time. Thumbs up. Your difficulty. I don't find the game that difficult. I don't think it's one for beginners or for kids. But a beginner could still try it. I just think it's going to be one that might overwhelm them if it's one of their first few games. I think this game is perfect for experienced and experts. There's a lot going on. It's a lot of moving pieces. I don't want to use the word Ameritrash because a lot of people go for that when you have a lot of point scoring going on. There is a lot here, but I don't think that's what the issue is with this game. I just think that the game is complex and it's a lot of not as much scoring everywhere as really trying to balance and make sure that you understand how the scales are weighing out for how things are going to work for you in the long run. You can do it. You can pay attention and see where that is, and you can see it for your opponents. But you gotta really pay attention to this game to realize where you truly stand. But I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Replayability. We played this game from probably about 7:30 to 10:30, so it took us about 3 hours. There was setup there, there was pack down there, and it was our first time playing. Well, 2 of us. One of us had played a few times before. I don't think it was that hard to pick up, but it definitely, there's a lot of game here. It's not when you're playing back-to-back or on the same week. Can I see this game being played in a game group that has a smaller group of games? Yes. I can see replayability there. But outside of that, if you're a legit gamer, I feel this is one that's going to end up on your shelf, and you may not get it to the table as much as you'd like to, because it does take up a chunk of time, and it's one that if you're not committing enough time to, every time you play, you're going to probably have to learn again. It's already been a couple days for me, and I'm already going like, how did I do this to be optimal? I think in a couple weeks, if I haven't played this again, it's going to be a little hard for me to figure out how to gameplay it again. And that could make it so that that curve of learning doesn't decrease the game time for setup and for pack down, because those two are going to be consistent. Setup, pack down, the same. That middle time is where you need to decrease it by like 30 minutes by knowing the game well. I don't think I'm going to get there. And I think a lot of you will have that issue too. So for me, replayability, thumbs up. Keys to victory. You have your 4 different types of buildings that you can be trying to get off your board so you can score different things more. You have your player board of trying to fill up your particular forest and build buildings and score there. You have the ability to hit the middle of the board and be trying to conquer people, take scoring points in the middle there. And you have your ability to go on the 4 outside pieces of your board and see who gets furthest up. There are bonus scores. First person and second person who get to the end of a row are going to get a 10 and a 5-point bonus. First and second person to get to the center of your board when it comes to the warfare, 10 and 5-point bonus, as well as the first and the second person who conquer somebody and topple one of their buildings. You need to conquer them twice, but when you get 2 buildings down, they're going to get the bonus. I think there's plenty of the keys to victory here. Thumbs up. Is the game unique? The game's unique. It is unique. I really didn't think this would have as much as it does, and there's no game I could think of that balances out all of these different ways to score, these different types of charts to be after, the different ways to hit the middle, the outside. You got so much going on. 2 different types of cards, 2 different sideboards, 2 different types of thing going on in the main board, one of which is just 4 different areas. There's a lot going on, and I can't compare it to anything. Thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? This is one of the better 60, 70 plus value games I've seen. There's a lot going on here, and there's plenty of opportunity for this game to truly be one of those games that hits strong for you. I think that this is a game that, well, I wouldn't recommend you run out and buy this one necessarily, depending on your group, your game size, all those other things. People own these size games. That's why these collections get so big. So if you're one of those people who are on their way to building a collection, I think I would recommend this one over a lot of other 60 plus games, because I think this is a good one to have in your group. I think it's one I do think people can enjoy. And while there's a lot going on, I wouldn't be surprised if you could try it out with not a non-gamer, but less of a gamer, and they could have a good experience. So for me, give it a try, see if you like it. And if you do, don't be afraid to buy it, because it is worth its money for the game itself. The only question is how many times you play it, and that's up to you to figure out if you have the right group to pull it off. Well, it has been day 269. We've been speaking about the game Tapestry, and you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.